Good evening, I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory, and this is a live look at the view from our 14 News Studio tower camera. Can't see too clearly there tonight as the sun has gone down. Here's what we're looking at moving forward though, kind of the three big things that we're tracking. First of all, tonight we may get a few very light rain showers. I think for most of us this will be nothing more than a sprinkle, but still don't be shocked if you get a little rain overnight. After that, it's really pretty quiet tomorrow and most of the day Tuesday. Our next chance of rain would then be overnight Tuesday night, and then really the story moving toward the end of the week is going to be the temperatures, because we've got a big warm up on the way. By next weekend it looks like we will be well into the 80s. Now so far for this Mother's Day we've had a little bit of everything. Some of you got some sunshine, others stayed pretty cloudy. We've even had a few very spotty rain showers out there, mainly across western Kentucky, but again it was very light, very spotty rain. Many of us stayed dry. Now as we get into the overnight hours, I do want to point out we've got some light rain off to the northwest and some more rain down to the southwest. All of that is very light. Those very light green shades are really down to just a sprinkle. I mean, that rain is so light it's barely making it to the ground, and that's what I kind of expect to spread across the tri-state over the next couple of hours. So don't look at this and think, oh, it's going to be a rainy night. This rain will be, just a drizzle or a sprinkle for many of us, and not everyone will even necessarily get that rain, but some very light showers, like I said, almost just a mist or a drizzle at times is possible overnight tonight. Then any rain we do see will push off to the east very early, probably by about 5 o'clock tomorrow morning will already be dry, and then the clouds will quickly follow as we go through Monday morning. And in general, tomorrow we're looking at plenty of sunshine all day long. We'll keep the mostly clear skies going through Monday night and into Tuesday. Most of Tuesday also looks sunny, but by the end of the day, we will start to see a few more clouds building in late Tuesday afternoon and evening. Those will be out ahead of our next chance of rain, which will come late Tuesday night. Now, this is not going to be a washout by any means, and most of us will probably sleep right through it. But it's just a few showers and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm. We're talking mainly after 1 or 2 a.m. Tuesday night, and then the last of that rain moves out very early Wednesday morning. Probably by about 7 a.m. we'll be dry again. So I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw Friday night, where we got rain, but it fell at a time that it really didn't impact anyone's plans, right? It's going to be overnight while folks are sleeping in the middle of the night Tuesday night. So really expecting very little impact from that. Most of us will sleep right through it, unless of course you get a rumble of thunder that wakes you up. We are outlooked for just general run-of-the-mill thunderstorms on Tuesday night. Looks like any chance of severe weather will be earlier in the day Tuesday and off to our northwest. So this is where they could maybe get an isolated severe storm on Tuesday, and then it's going to weaken as it heads our way, and by the time it gets to us very late, middle of the night Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning, it will have weakened out to just a few showers and maybe an isolated thunderstorm. Checking in on the comments. Suzanne watching from Morganfield, thank you for tuning in. Good evening, Jeanette. Thank you very much for the Happy Mother's Day wishes, folks. Jeff Miller, Carolyn, Zach. Zach is asking about severe weather. No, Zach, like I said, tonight it's going to be nothing more than some very light rain. Tuesday, at best, we could maybe get an isolated thunderstorm. I think for the most part, Tuesday night's going to be just some showers as well. Any chance of severe weather well off to our northwest. So we're not expecting severe weather anytime soon, Zach. And good evening, Cheyenne, Laura. Yeah, William mentioning that pattern change. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Sergeant, thank you very much, everybody, for the Happy Mother's Day wishes. Yeah, it's a little ironic just with the way schedules and vacations and stuff worked out. I'm the only mother on the weather team, but here I am working Mother's Day. It's all right, though. The guys are out visiting family and getting to be with their mothers, so I'm happy to give them that opportunity. As for our temperatures, we topped out in the mid-70s this afternoon. We've fallen about 10 degrees now since the sun has set here in the last little bit. Most of us sitting somewhere in the mid-60s. Currently at 64 in Evansville, 67 in Owensboro. As we go through the rest of the evening, our temperatures will keep dropping back through the 60s, then we'll fall on back through the 50s overnight. And by the end of the night, eventually bottom out somewhere in the upper 40s to low 50s first thing tomorrow morning. So tonight will be mostly cloudy. Again, we do have that chance of just some very light rain showers. Temperatures bottoming out in the upper 40s to low 50s by Monday morning. Any remaining clouds then clear out Monday morning. Plenty of sunshine on tap tomorrow, and much like today, highs topping out in the mid-70s again, which is actually right where our temperatures should be this time of year. Mid-70s is very typical for early to mid-May. Now, as we get into Tuesday, we do warm up a bit. We're looking at highs closer to 80 degrees on Tuesday. Then we've got that rain pushing through overnight Tuesday night. That will cool us off a bit, dropping back into the mid-70s on Wednesday, then lower 70s on Thursday. Then Thursday will actually be very calm. I think we'll have very little wind at all. Then on Friday, our wind picks back up, coming from the south. So Wednesday, we've got cool air flowing in from the north. That's where we see our temperatures starting to drop. Thursday is pretty calm. Then the wind picks back up from the south then as we get toward the weekend. That pushes us back up to around 80 on Friday. Then look at these temperatures for next weekend. We're talking mid to even upper 80s possibly by the weekend. And it looks like that trend is going to stick with us into the start of next week too. The extended outlook for Monday, May 18th, through the rest of next week does show a trend toward above average temperatures. In fact, when you look at the hazards outlook specifically, the tri-state is outlooked for much above normal temperatures. So potentially hot weather, not just warm, but hot weather Monday and Tuesday of next week. So again, we're talking about something that's a full week away right now, but still some hot weather possibly on the way to start next week. That green off to our west, that's an outlook for heavy rain. I don't think we'll be included in that. But it is worth mentioning that in addition to the warmer temperatures, the extended outlook also includes above average precipitation for next week. Oftentimes when you see an increase in your temperatures, it oftentimes comes with an increase in your precipitation as well, because warm air can hold more moisture. It gets hotter, it gets more humid, especially around here. Our heat tends to be a humid heat instead of a dry heat. So that warm air and that humidity tends to then feed the chances for some showers and maybe even some thunderstorms. So that's something we'll be monitoring as we get into next week. This week is fairly quiet, but as we get into next week, we may be talking about some hot weather, possibly our first truly hot weather so far this year. And in addition to that, then possibly some thunderstorm chances that would follow that hot weather. So far this month has started out pretty cool, with the exception of Monday where we made it to 80. The whole first week of May, we pretty much hung out in the 50s and 60s. Just this weekend, we've really started to warm up. We've had highs in the 70s the past 3 days. Our only real kind of widespread beneficial rainfall was that rainy day we had Tuesday into Tuesday night. This rain, if you're thinking, I don't remember it raining on Saturday, that's that overnight rain. Technically, it fell after midnight Friday night, so it counts for Saturday. But that's that overnight rain Friday night is what you're seeing reflected there. We got about 0.04 of an inch out of that. So again, we've had a little bit of rain, but it's not really been enough to dig us out of the hole that we're in right now. It has been a very dry year. We are running short on rainfall both for the month and for the year. Typically, May is a time of year where you are starting to get into that warmer, more humid pattern, and you see heavy rain and thunderstorm chances on a pretty regular basis. And we just really haven't had much of that yet. So we are running about an inch short on rain so far for the month, and we've only had about 2/3 of our average rainfall up to this point in the year. So January and February were both drier than normal. March, we had kind of a rainy start that first week or two, but then the second half of March was pretty dry. April was very dry, with the exception of those thunderstorms we got right at the end of the month, where we also had some tornadoes there. But overall, it's been kind of quiet and dry so far this spring, and this is typically a time of year where we pick up a lot of our rainfall, right? Typically we're talking about rain and thunderstorms for much of the spring. A lot of the time we have river flooding this time of year. And then as we get into the summer months, it gets kind of hot and dries out, right? So this is a little bit concerning that we're already talking about it's a little too dry out there. We're already looking at some drought, and we haven't even gotten to that summer heat yet. So I'll be curious to see what this summer holds for us. Speaking of heat, that is something we've been lacking so far this May. I mentioned before we had all those days in the 50s and 60s at a time of year where we would typically see highs in the 70s. So our average temperature so far this May is running about 7 degrees below average, which I find an interesting contrast because April was our warmest April ever on record. We had 15 out of 30 days in April where we had highs in the 80s. Now we're into May and we're actually running cooler than we were in April. But like I said, I think we'll turn that around by the end of this week. I mentioned that drought. We're not the only ones struggling with this. They have severe to extreme or even exceptional drought across many of the western states as well as across the southeast here. And especially across the southeast, I know they've been dealing with a lot of wildfire issues. Farmers are really struggling in many locations because it's just not wet enough for them to really plant at the time of year that they typically would, just really struggling. And then even if you get the plants in the ground, do you have enough water to keep them going? So here at home, we have seen some improvement. We did get some rain at the end of April and then again just last week. So some of us are starting to get pulled out of those drought conditions, but especially across western Kentucky, they're still pretty persistent. So we really need more of that kind of steady soaking rainfall like we had on Tuesday, but unfortunately we don't have any in the forecast. We have just a little bit of very light rain, just a few sprinkles in the forecast tonight. Then it's really pretty dry through most of this week. We've got that chance of rain overnight Tuesday night, but I don't think there's going to be a whole lot to that. But, you know, any rain is good rain at this point. As we get toward the weekend and it starts to get warmer and more humid, I would monitor for some rain chances. Right now, Friday and Saturday are looking like they'll probably be dry. I wouldn't be shocked if as things get closer, we see an isolated chance of rain added in there just because of the increase in the warmth and the humidity. There may be enough energy there to spark a couple of spotty showers. But as of right now, I'm going with dry conditions Friday and Saturday. By Sunday, though, I think we have at least an isolated chance of rain. So really, as we get into next week, the start of the following week, you know, just beyond the 7 day here, that's where you really see that higher heat kicking in. And then I think at some point there will be a cold front sometime probably middle of next week that pushes through and cools us back down a little bit. So that'll be something to monitor for next week. We may be tracking some hot weather at the beginning of the week and then maybe some rain chances by the middle, which will then be followed by a cool down. But again, we're talking about something that's a week and a half away. So any details on that could obviously still change. Those are just kind of giving you an inside look here at some of the pattern changes that we're monitoring that could happen next week. But for this week, really beautiful weather. I mean, we need rain, but as far as just enjoying time outside, you couldn't ask for a much better forecast. The only rain we've got this week is going to fall overnight while folks are sleeping, so really not going to impact any plans. We're looking at highs in the 70s to maybe low 80s with partly to mostly sunny skies all week long. And then it starts to get a little hotter and a little more humid for the weekend. All right, checking in on the comments again. Thank you, Mary, for the Happy Mother's Day wishes. AJ, Karen, Dion, Carolyn, thank you guys so much. Hello to everyone. And I hope all the other mothers out there are having a happy Mother's Day as well. And I hope everybody got to spend some time with their mother if she's still living and really take advantage of this day set aside to honor and love on our moms and show them how much they mean to us. All right. Lenny from Whitesville, thank you for tuning in. I'm looking for any questions on the forecast. I'm not seeing any. Like I said, this week the weather is not particularly exciting. I mean, it's exciting in the sense that it's going to be great weather, beautiful weather to get outside and enjoy, but there's not a whole lot of of big changes on the way over the next few days. I really think that'll start to kick in as we get into next week, because like I said, we are monitoring for that potential kind of big warm up by next weekend. That would then probably carry into the start of the following week. And then at some point, we usually have a cold front that swings through and kind of cools us back down. And, you know, with that kind of warmth and humidity in place, we would potentially see some thunderstorms with that. But again, it's too early to tell for sure. Hello, Mary from Hanson. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'll have another look at your forecast on 14 News tonight at 10. Then obviously Byron Douglas will be taking over for 14 News Sunrise tomorrow morning, and then I'll be back with your forecast on 14 News 11 and 14 First Alert at noon tomorrow. So I hope you'll join us for all of those updates then. Everybody have a great rest of your night, and again, to all the mothers out there, a happy Mother's Day.